This is the BODAR Blast by the USS DECATUR, with your host, Lt.j.g Daniel Ehrlich. All views expressed on this show are not those of the United States Navy and made by the individuals who are on the show. All music used is used with the permission of the songwriter or is royalty-free. This is a feature production of the USS DECATUR and is made free to use and free for all the families and supporters of the USS DECATUR DDG 73. Old and daring.
And I'm Lt.j.g Daniel Ehrlich, and welcome back to the USS DECATUR. It's been a couple weeks since I've last talked to you, but I'm very excited to be back for our 6th episode of the BODAR Blast, and I'm excited to have you with me for this next hour-long show. We've actually started extending our podcast a little bit longer. We heard some feedback from all of you back at home that you really enjoy our interviews, and so I've tried to extend our interviews more and more to where you get to hear the stories of the individuals that are on here, the stories of what make those people who they are today in the Navy. And I think that it is a really important message to share. Is not just, what's your job, what's your rate, what do you do on the ship, but also kind of what got you here, what makes you tick, and what do you do outside of work. But I'll talk to you more about our interview later on today. But very excited to be back after a few weeks away from the podcast. We spent a little week and a half in Guam, so I was definitely, along with the rest of the crew, very much chilling out on the beach, at the hotels. The hospitality in Guam was excellent. The local population was very nice, very pleasant. So Guam was very, just the hospitality was great. I know I stayed at a couple of hotels out in town. I know a bunch of our sailors stay out in hotels around town as well. We had sailors go to the beach quite a bit, was what I heard. Beaches on Guam are amazing, rivaling some of the other best beaches in the Pacific Ocean, including Hawaii and Bora Bora. Just some amazing beaches. Guam is, I actually learned this on Guam. Here's your little fact here. Little factoid is that Guam's northern half is created out of coral reefs, and its southern half is volcanic. So it's two different halves that kind of melded into one island, and that's why the roads, especially up in there, as everything slides to the other half of the room, as I'll explain later on, the roads are a little bit slicker than you would experience in the mainland United States or other places, because they're made from coral. The coral concentrate in the northern part of the island causes them to get slicker, which can lead to accidents. Guam do not appreciate their traffic. Very bad traffic on the island, but being from home ported in San Diego, you get used to bad traffic. We were up on the naval station there, so a bunch of really cool other ships around. Got to see the Emory S. Land, which is a ship that you don't normally get to see, a support ship that you rarely get to see. As well as the rest of the Nimitz strike group went to Guam as well. But our sailors also went snorkeling. We had sailors go hiking. We had sailors go to nature reserves. The snorkeling on the island was amazing. I've had sailors tell me that they saw stingrays and sharks, and it is very. I mean, there's a very shallow swimming area, especially in Tumon Bay and Guam, and then as you as you hit the edge of the reef, it's just a drop off, thousands of feet, and it's pretty typical for Pacific Islands out here, but really cool stay in Guam. Definitely spent, I think there's a lot of people that can say this, more money than I expected, but that's just the nature of the beast for being in a port for a week and a half. Good food, Chamorro, barbecue, and some of the local flair. So overall, just an amazing port visit. Got some maintenance done on the ship side of things, but it was a really good chance for our crew to relax and enjoy the port, and that's what really matters. After that, we got back out to sea. We've been moving around quite a bit. You can definitely hear the wail of the engines behind me, and it moving back and forth, rocking back and forth. You're gonna hear some bamming and then some slamming and things rocking back and forth and slamming into each other from rocking around, and that's just life at sea. And your family members or friends that are sailors on the ship will tell you that often you have things rock around quite a bit. You slam into bulkheads. You get used to getting used to the motion of the ocean out here, especially when seas are a little bit higher or we're going a little bit faster. So went back out to sea. We've participated in a couple events that I'll tell you about in a week or two. But we've gotten to participate in a few events, and how could I forget as well that we also had an award ceremony. So we got to recognize some of our sailors that have really achieved a lot over the last little bit, last years. Sailors that were leaving, including some of our officers that were leaving with Navy and Marine Corps achievement medals. As well as sailors getting their enlisted surface warfare specialist pins. The enlisted surface warfare specialist pin is a series of qualifications mixed with knowledge-based boards that enlisted sailors go through to determine that they have the specialized knowledge of the overall surface Navy itself, and being on a surface ship to be able to consider themselves a surface warfare officer specialist. It is a very prestigious pin to have. It's the silver pin with the sword and rapier, and it is a very high achievement to receive in a sailor's career. So if you had a sailor that earned their East Wasp pin, as we call it, that's huge, and you should be very, very proud of them. We also had Lt.j.g Davies, which you should be seeing on our social media by now, earned his SWO pin, Surface Warfare Officer pin, which is very similar to an East Wasp pin, but for officers. It's a series of over 20 qualifications, along with multiple boards culminating in your Officer to Deck qualification and your Surface Warfare Officer pinning qualification. It's over 40 different boards for different qualifications. It is depth and breadth of knowledge that is tested throughout the process of a year to 2 years on board. And it is the crowning achievement for a surface warfare junior officer, and it is the gateway to going to our second tour in our careers in the surface warfare community. So to Sam, congratulations, buddy. It's awesome seeing you get doused with the seawater, and I can't wait for more of us to join you. So really good on him. The tradition of getting doused in seawater continues, as the captain will dip the surface warfare officer's pin in a pail of seawater, pin them, and then an officer of their choosing will douse them in seawater. And it is to make sure that the sea crust, the salty crust of the sea, encrusts the SWO pin. So that is tradition. And moving on with tradition, we last weekend had our crossing the line ceremony. So USS Decatur, along with the Nimitz Strike Group, crossed south of the equator into the southern hemisphere for a short period of time. And so the crew was able to complete the crossing the line ceremony, which is a major achievement for everyone here, but is also a piece of Navy tradition. So When you cross south of the equator, or you cross the equator for the first time in your Navy career, at sea, you do what's called the crossing the line ceremony. And so, trusty shellbacks, which are personnel that have crossed the line before, run the ceremony, and everybody that has not crossed the line before is known as slimy wog, or slimy pollywog. Slimy, filthy, dirty, whatever you want to call us, pollywog. Well, I, along with approximately half to 2/3 of the crew, had never crossed the line before, and so we were all slimy polywogs. And the ceremony begins with the arrival of King Neptune and his court, and goes along through the traditions of King Neptune and his court being here, and the crew, especially the polywogs, needing to welcome him with proper ceremonial gestures, including a series of tasks and tests throughout the day in order to be properly accepted by King Neptune, his baby, and Davy Jones, his messenger, his court. And in order to be properly accepted by them, to be cleansed by King Neptune's fresh water. And so it's a Navy tradition that has stemmed back since the pirate ages, actually, and very fun tradition. I can't talk about too much about the specifics of what happens for it. Everything is very safe, and we all had a great time, great safe time, with a little bit of challenges. So, but that's all part of the process, is that in order to be transformed from a slimy pollywog to a trusty shellback, you must endure challenges and be placed into your out of your comfort zone a little bit. Definitely was placed out of my comfort zone for that morning, but had an awesome time, and proud to say, just like the rest of the polywogs that went through, we banded together and we are all now trusty shellbacks. So we all get certificates, and it is something that you get to hold throughout the rest of your Navy career in your life, that you got to pass the equator while at sea. So really awesome time. Shout out to all my shellbacks out there on the ship, and all of you listening at home, because I know there's some shellbacks out there listening at home, and definitely probably remember tougher experiences getting their shellback as well, but being excited that they got it and did that experience. So, and then finally, our sailors have been all working towards qualifications and continuing to improve the ship. So congratulations to all of our sailors that have recently worked for qualifications, getting those more advanced qualifications, working up the watch bill. It really helps out the ship, and so if your sailor has recently earned a major qualification or has been able to reach out to you over our awesome Starlink system to tell you about their achievements, please give them a hand for that, because it is a lot of work. We are approximately halfway through our deployment, and the days go by, and it seems all the same to all of us. So getting a major achievement such as a major qualification or a swirl pin or shellback is an important achievement, because it breaks up the monotony. So congratulations to all of them. And now we're going to head into our interview with someone who I've been dying to have on for a few weeks. I work with him very closely. He's our Command Master at Arms, Assistant Anti-Terrorism Officer. It's Master at Arms First Class Patrick Moore. He's a 10-year Navy veteran, has been in for 10 years. Awesome person. I've learned a lot from him, and we had an awesome interview. You'll get to learn a lot more about what he does as a Master at Arms, what he does on board, a lot more of how he got to this point in the Navy, what drives him, and then a little bit more about his personality, who he is, what he does in his free time, and maybe even some things he definitely hasn't told anyone before. including a new segment at the end of this interview. Next week, we'll be introducing a newer segment that'll be replacing Around the Mess Text for a little bit. So stay tuned. We've got a really fun segment that'll be flip-flopping out with Around the Mess Text. But without further ado, MA1 more. And I'm here with our Master at Arms, First Class Command Master at Arms, Assistant Anti-Terrorism Officer, or however else we really task him with, and my colleague and co-worker in the anti-terrorism team, MA1 Patrick Moore. Thanks for joining us on the BODAR Blast. I know you've been asking for a while to be on here.
Yes, sir. I'm excited to see what we have here, and I'm glad and honored to be a part of the podcast, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, so is this your first podcast ever you've been on?
I've been on a couple, ones with my friends who were interested in podcasts before, but I think this is my first official one that's going to be broadcasted and streamed for the world, essentially.
Yeah, well, and for everybody at home, if you haven't heard already, so I'm reminding you throughout this episode, we are now streaming on Spotify and Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, and you can download us too and hear the wonderful voice of MA1. So, MA1, we would work together super closely. I kind of know your background, but what's been your career progression through the Navy? You've been in for almost 10 years at this point.
Yes, sir. So I started my Navy career in November of 2012. A couple months after I graduated high school. My parents were stationed in Millington, Tennessee, so I was fortunate enough to join the Navy out of there. I was able to go into Millington, into the PERS buildings, and I was able to not really have an interview, but talk with different rates of these senior people who've done, Navy for a little bit. So I spoke with the MMs, I spoke with, the Navy SEALs. I thought I was going to be a Navy SEAL for a little bit, but I decided to choose the greatest rate in my eyes, which is the Master at Arms. And then my first duty station was CRG-2, Det Bahrain, which was very, very enjoyable, I guess, duty station for me. I was able to explore the 5th Fleet AOR. I was able to travel, yet still feel like I was at the tip of the spear. Some of the mission sets and the taskings we were given out there was definitely not what I expected when I joined the Navy. So I got to enjoy a little bit out there. My next duty station was the USS John C. Stennis, Mighty 7-4, which is an aircraft carrier. At the time, it was stationed in Bremerton, Washington, and I got to enjoy out there. I was there for a couple months before we did a 7th Fleet deployment, and then got to go around the world there. My next duty station was Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam, which was, that's where I'm originally from. I'm from Hawaii. I graduated high school from Hawaii, so going back home was awesome. The food was amazing, and I got to work there. And then after that, I was doing my duties, and I was stopped by a 4-star admiral. His name was Admiral Aquilino, and he was, asked me some questions, and the next thing you know, I was hand-selected by him to join his team at Pac Fleet. It was a great tour there at Pac Fleet. I got to learn a lot about leadership, and especially from that, altitude, or that higher headquarters vision. It's a lot different than being, boots on the ground, and, me being the guy at the gate just checking IDs and then seeing it from the highest level like he did. It was kind of a game changer for me. And then I decided to come here to the USS Decatur out of San Diego. And then, I've just been doing my thing here. I just hit a little bit over 10 years. It's been fun.
Yeah, so of those tours, really, what was kind of your favorite tour? What was your favorite assignment that you've ever got?
I would say favorite. Favorite, I would say, honestly, the destroyer. Now that I've been to, biggest platforms, which is like an aircraft carrier. I've been to, the small units, but still, tip of the spear type of commands, or even a higher headquarters staff gig. The DDG has opened my eyes to the real Navy. Everyone here has more than one job. Everyone here works hard. It gives you a good, culture of hard work, and makes you want to achieve and be successful with the different things that you have to do here. Obviously, being on this deployment now, you kind of see the world. We're able to pull into different ports than I've ever been to. So I would say this DDG, especially as an MA1, they say it's one of the hardest billets for an MA1, independent duty. Learning all my different programs, you really learn a lot here, and you got to learn it quick, because the CO asks for a question, you owe that to him. So definitely Decatur's been my favorite gig so far.
Yeah, and I mean, we've learned a lot together in the anti-terrorism program. I work with you like every day. I see you every day.
Yes, sir.
And it's been awesome working with you. We started working together kind of last year. It's been almost a year that we've been working together in anti-terrorism, and we've brought this program through force protection exercise and all of that. What was it like working at Pac Fleet? Like what was it like working for an admiral directly, and what were some of your enjoyable parts with that gig?
I would say, sir, upon getting there, I was definitely starstruck, no pun intended, with him being there. I was able to sit back and observe a lot. A lot of people think that once people get to that type of level, they don't care about the people, but I would say Admiral Aquilino was probably the most caring person I've probably had the opportunity to work for. He was very genuine, and he always was concerned about me. His family was concerned about me. Being there at the motor pool there and taking care of, not only Admiral Aquilino, but other tenant commands or PACOM. They had other DVs that would come down and ask for the services at motor pool. That was awesome, because you were able to network and connect with people from different backgrounds, not only just from the American standpoint, as far as like American military. I was able to interact with Koreans, the Japanese, some of these other countries within the NATO community, or the NATO Council, I guess, and it was very intriguing just to see the cultural differences between everyone, but they were still able to unite and accomplish the overall mission, which is obviously maintain peace around the world. So it was definitely an experience there, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. So you come from a Navy background.
I do.
What got you into the Navy? Like, why did you want to join?
I wasn't the greatest kid in the world, and I felt that I kind of owed it to my parents, especially my mom, especially with everything she's been through. So I decided to follow in her footsteps and decided to join the Navy out of Memphis, or Millington, Tennessee. I wasn't in a great crowd out there. I realized I wasn't really doing anything initially after I graduated high school, and my parents said you could either get a job or go to school. So at first I wanted to join the Marines, and then I realized when I got to the recruiting station this wasn't for me. And finally, that's when my mom said, why don't you just look at the Navy? And so once I looked at different rates and whatnot, I decided to join. At that time, my mom was just a lieutenant, and I was very interested, and I saw how much respect she had from her peers or the personnel that worked for her. And I kind of wanted to embody that joining the Navy. I felt that I had great leadership qualities, playing sports growing up as a kid. I wanted to see if I could obtain that same, respect and honor, I guess, that she had. So that's what initially made me join the Navy. What kept me Navy is, I would say, just the ability to always learn something, the opportunities that the Navy has given me. I was able to get a college degree, and people who really know me know that I never thought about school or going to college. The word education wasn't in my vocabulary back then, but I've been able to obviously obtain a college degree, and again travel the world, learn different qualities, traits, and I feel like it's made me not only a better leader but a better man to take accountability, responsibility. So I feel like that's what got me in the Navy and what kept me in the Navy.
Yeah, and what did you get your education in? What was your degree in?
Sir, I would say the degree I got was just an associate's degree in general education. I guess, like I said earlier, I wasn't the greatest at school, so I was kind of nervous. I didn't know what to expect walking into, any type of college. I got my degree from Excelsior College or University, and they were very open to, obviously the TA that you're able to get from the Navy, and they helped build those building blocks for me to eventually make me be successful within school. I would say that I'm still hungry to obtain more, so I have plans to eventually get my bachelor's degree in either cybersecurity or national security, staying within the, I guess, security realm for MAs.
Yeah, so you're doing amazing things, and you got picked up and have already gotten your some gifts from people, from the other officers on the ship, setting you up for getting commissioned in August of this year. You picked up limited duty officer. You're going to be a security officer.
Yes,
Been helping you out on that. I know we've had some good talks about, setting you up to be an officer and what it's like to be an officer. So what made you want to do the limited duty officer program? And for everybody that doesn't know it, what is the limited duty officer program?
The limited duty officer program is a program that's within the Navy that allows the enlisted personnel to become a naval officer, not necessarily without a degree, but you're able to enter this program and not have a degree and still be able to commission. Having a degree, yes, makes you more competitive. It kind of gives you a little bit more edge on some individuals, because for every other Navy program, you need a Navy degree, or they help you get a Navy degree, like Seaman Admiral program. My mother, Lynn Wall, Commander Lynn Wall, she is the main reason why I decided to chase after, the limited duty officer program. Seeing what she was able to start from, she was an undead seaman recruit on an AOE, which is like an oiler for the Navy. Seeing her start from there and watching her initially start as a single mother raising me, and growing up, we didn't have the best circumstances, but she always made it work for me. And then eventually seeing to where she is now, and knowing that she has, I guess, been a trailblazer for me in obtaining this, I guess, dream or goal that I've set for myself, so that way I can one day, relieve her. And now that I have been selected, I've realized how big of a deal it truly is, learning these different qualities and, I guess, decision making tools that I have to have in my back pocket, experiences, especially as a limited duty officer. That's what kind of makes us different than most officers, is that we have that enlisted background, we have that technical expertise to help support, the warfighters as well as the pilots, submariners, the intel officers. So I feel like that is who helped me get to becoming a limited duty officer. But yeah, proud of where I'm at, and I don't think I would be here without my previous chiefs, my other MAs who are out here who kept me just as hungry. They kept me humbled. They always told me that there's always more. You don't just stop once you're a limited duty officer. You keep learning. You keep pushing. You still got more people to take care of, and the scope of responsibilities is going to be a lot larger. So I'm ready for the challenge. I'm excited.
Yeah, so you talk about your mentors, and I know we've talked about some of your mentors. I've met some of them. So who are some of your biggest mentors? Who's pushed you along besides your mother? Who else has pushed you to achieve what you've done in the Navy?
So I have a couple. Obviously, I have some that are limited duty officers because that's what I wanted to be. So obviously if you're trying to be a better basketball player, you're probably not going to go to, a soccer player and ask them for tips about a basketball. But some of those people may be able to give you tips on how to meet that basketball player, and, eventually they can help build you up. For me, my first security officer that I truly had the opportunity to work for was Lieutenant Commander Dodge, but he was a lieutenant back then. He was a lieutenant on the USS John C. Stennis. He's the one that told me and put me in the right predicaments on the carrier, and that's what started my progression and growth. Then my next mentor, he probably doesn't know that he's someone I look up to, but Lieutenant Rico Taylor, now Lieutenant Commander Rico Taylor, especially as a African American man in United States Navy, I looked up to him a lot. And then one of my best friends, he's now Lt.j.g, Dominique Adams. He is currently out in Norfolk. When I first was headed to the John C. Stennis, I was on Facebook on like a MA, sponsorship page, and I asked one of my friends who was stationed on the USS John C. Stennis, and Dominique Adams, he got on there. He's like, "Hey, I'm headed there." I found out that he was an MA2 over at SwiftPack, which is a Marine and Navy Joint Command. They kind of protect the ballistic submarines out there in Washington State. But he told me, "Hey, I'm headed there. I'm an MA2, but I'm going to make MA1 this cycle." And I was an MA3 at the time, and I was like, "Look, well, I'm making MA2 this cycle." And just that right there showed me and motivated me that, hey, me and this guy are going to get along well. We ended up running things on the carrier. Between him and I, we just took over and, achieved a lot. And I've leaned on him since that was 2015. And still to this day, I talk to him almost weekly. Not even just about things regarding the Navy, but being a father, becoming a naval officer, just life in general, being a man, learning how to be a better son, a man of God. I've kind of had to lean on him a lot about all that stuff. My biological father and my stepdad, they're both in the Navy. My biological father was retired as a senior chief, culinary specialist, mostly on DDG, so he kind of gave me the blueprints on how to be successful here on the DDG, how to stand out, what to look for. And my stepdad, he's a retired YNC on submarines. He pushed me a lot. He gave me he's the one who instilled the work ethic that I have. And I would say I have countless ones, between security officers, you as a SWO, sir. I have people that I lean on who are lower ranking than me, who have kept me grounded, reminded me where I came from, that just because I may be on a fast track or, I'm picking up rank or I've been selected for LDO, don't forget where I came from. Remember the hard work that got me here. Remember what those guys are doing that, are keeping the base safe, keeping the ship safe, keeping just personnel safe. So I'd say I have countless, sir.
Yeah, and it's always the people that you meet and unexpected places that you you pick up mentorships for. Like I've made connections through email and picked up mentorships through that, just at Navy symposiums and events and just through other networks and people. So it's strange how life works out. But
Internet, Facebook,
yeah,
all
like
types of
it's
things.
crazy. But I've really enjoyed. I guess. Thank you. It's an honor to be considered one of your mentors.
Yes, sir.
I know Lieutenant Sturkenberg is too. And I mean, we want the best for you, and you know that. And we've had our more private one-on-one talks about leadership and stuff like that. But
Yes, sir.
I mean, you're gonna go far. So, but you talked about becoming a better son, a better father, a better man of God. How do you learn that on your own? And your son is just turned 1 and is now walking. And what have you learned about being a father over the last year, especially being a father that is in the Navy and active duty?
I would say being a parent, in general, has been a blessing. You know, seeing so much of myself in him, and he's only 1. Seeing my personality, seeing my smile on something that, you know, me and his mother created. It's been difficult, obviously, at times where, you know, sometimes you just wish you were home to see the first steps. Yes, he did just turn 1. I missed out on his first birthday, but, you know, I'm still able to, financially support him, and I've surrounded my son with my family. You know, his mother is a great mother, taking, you know, very well care of him. It's sometimes difficult to swallow that pill and bring myself back to reality that I still have a job to do, but I know at the end of the day that he's taken care of. And my mother told me, short-term sacrifices for long-term payoffs. And this deployment is a short-term sacrifice. This time away from now is only gonna, you know, be able to help me provide for my family, whether it's a bigger home, whether it's, you know, quality of life, or just anything in general. I'll be able to take care of my son, and it's just that one step better than, you know, what I had as a kid. But I knew my mother did whatever she could to take care of us. But her, like I said, her trailblazing this path for me to set me up, so now I can set my son up to be better. For me, my situation is a little bit more difficult because his mother is also active duty, and she's also an MA. So it's been a little difficult, you know, trying to find that balance between the two of us. But if you speak to the right people, if you bring it up to your chain of command's attention, if you let them know, hey, these are concerns, and, you know, you just have faith that everything will work out, it always does. So my son's good, you know, his mother's okay, doing great. She's taking care of herself, taking care of him. That's all I can ask for.
Yeah, and I always enjoy the updates about your son, because it's pretty cool seeing, because I remember when your son was born, and you were just like over the moon. So it's really exciting, like, see him grow up and see you become a better, you know, grow as a father too. So, but on the ship, as CMAA, as AATO, what are kind of your, like, daily responsibilities?
For the military people who may understand, as a Chief Master at Arms, or just Master at Arms, my job is to maintain good order and discipline. A lot of people think that a lot of MAs, all they ever do is, you know, cops and robbers. They see us, you know, in the patrol units on base. They see us, you know, cuffing people, doing traffic stops. But the MA rate has so much more, especially here on the DDG as a Chief Master at Arms. It's independent duty. So for those who aren't familiar, I'm the only MA here on this boat. Whereas a carrier, you have upwards of 90 plus MAs who are able to help support the same mission I'm essentially doing here, just on a little bit smaller of a scope. So I'm responsible for the legal program, at least advising the legal officers to the CO of, you know, people who violate the Uniform Code of Military Justice. I'm responsible of the ship self-defense force. So as a primary anti-terrorism training supervisor, I train every single person on the ship how to defend the ship, how to stand a proper watch, how to shoot a gun, how to utilize non-lethal weapons, how to identify any type of threats, any asymmetrical threats that the Navy deals with or has dealt with. We can prevent, detect, or deter. To so the people who are on here sleeping can sleep well at night, and B, when we're out here on, during deployment, we can protect the ship if need be. As the assistant ATO, my responsibility is, to maintain this program. A lot of people don't understand how important it is, and I would say that sometimes the Navy, puts the AT warfare area, on the back burner, but they do take it serious. You could tell they take it serious by the amount of trainings we have. Not only just like the Navy e-learning, the drills and whatnot, but you could tell just the magnitude of money they put into the overall program to take care of people, its units, its assets. So my job is to make sure that we're in compliance with all the instructions and the references that we have, whether it's from just our own generated instructions or if they're from the higher headquarters, 7th Fleet, 3rd Fleet, PAC Fleet, U.S. Fleet Forces. We have a bunch of references that I have to ensure that we're in compliance with to protect the ship. I am also responsible for, like I said, helping and assisting with the gunner's mate, teach people how to shoot guns. And who doesn't like to shoot guns? It's kind of fun. Whether it's the big ones or the little ones, I'm helping out. And so there's a little other things, I do berth inspections, which is always fun. I'm walking around taking care of sailors, making sure the uniforms are squared away, and just, setting the tone for everyone.
So you talked about shooting guns, and anti-terrorism is tense, and being behind that gun is tense. I remember you telling me a story of you being on a gun in the Gulf. You want to tell that story to people at home, and how scared it is, how scary it is being shot at? 'Cause you're probably one of the few people on the ship that's actually been shot at.
I wasn't necessarily shot at, but I had the weapon pointed at me. Growing up in Hawaii, you hardly ever hear about guns, gun violence. It's more so fighting. You might get the occasional stabbing, but most of the time in Hawaii, it's almost like MMA, junior featherweights out there. So when I joined the Navy, I wasn't exposed as most people are to firearms or guns and whatnot. But being an MA, I kind of got thrown into the Shark Tank. It was like, hey, now you got to learn all about them. You got to know how to treat them. They're not necessarily toys, but they're a tool. So my first command at Mobile Security, I was stationed on the USS Ponce. We were doing, normal routine operations out there in the 5th Fleet. But there was one night we had, I was sleeping in my rack. I was 18 years old. I just got done with all my training, super motivated, super excited to do my job. But I just got off, 12 to 14 hour watch, standing in that hot blazing sun out there in the, 5th Fleet AOR. And I just remember, hearing quick draw. And quick draw for that boat was one of, the pro words for, hey, we have a small boat threat. So I ended up running up, to my mount. I didn't even think about it. I rolled out of my rack. I was only in my underwear, I'm not gonna lie, I was only in my underwear. I had to put my shirt on. I just strapped some boots on my feet, no socks, ran out there to my gun mount. I put on my vest and put on my helmet, and I don't know why, but I just had so much adrenaline in my body. And I just remember sitting there and I saw these small FACs, which is fast attack craft, which is these super small boats, and they were waving these their country's flag. I've never seen anything like it, and it just seemed like there was at least 6 to 7, 8 of them just surrounding us. And all the training that I went through was kind of scary. because this is why we're here. We're here to defend these type of things, and this is real. It's happening. And I remember one of them. We're trained as MAs that when you see a weapon, your tension is already heightened, and then for them to be pointed at you, it's a whole different game. But the use of force and rules of engagement, we weren't authorized to handle that type of things. And I just remember all of a sudden I had my chief, Chief Murchison, MAC. He's retired now. He came and he grabbed me off of the mount, and I just remember, I don't remember anything, and I was like, what happened? And at that point, it's kind of embarrassing, but I ended up urinating on myself because I had a sensory overload, because there was just so much happening, and I had so much adrenaline going through me that it happened. And I remember my chief grabbed me, and he was like, hey, my call sign was bobblehead. And he said, bobblehead, like, what are you doing? You can't hear your radio? And I was like, no, chief, I didn't hear you. He's like, the CO said stand down on your weapon, and he wanted you to back up, and you weren't responding, so I had to come and grab you. And for most people, you may not know, or you may know, but that's a prime definition of going into black, which is something that, we teach people we train people how to identify yourself going into the black, or identify someone else going into black, so you can bring them back into the fight. And going into black is a sensory overload, whether you have tunnel vision, whether you have sensory or audio disclosure, like you can't hear anything. Your fine motor skills kind of go away. You're just not thinking. You're almost a deer in the headlights, essentially. But my chief took me down back to the berthing. He told me go shower, obviously. And I remember he said, hey, get some rest. And he ended up going to talk to the captain about what happened. The next morning I woke up, and I remember my MA1 called me down to the berthing. And as a young MASR, if you're getting called by your MA1, it wasn't really that great. Regardless of how small that team was, I was always told, if you're going to see chief or you're going to see MA1, you were in trouble. And I remember he sat me down, he pulled out a piece of paper. He said, this is a counseling chit. And for those who don't know, counseling chits aren't normally known for being the greatest thing in the world. It could be viewed as like a discussion with your superior, and they're letting you know, like, hey, these are your faults, these are your deficiencies, and they're utilized to help build you up, and it's a form of documentation. So MA1 said, sit down, let's talk, and he got there close. I looked at the paperwork. He said, read it, and it turned out being a good counseling shit. It was the first and only good counseling shit I've ever gotten, and it was, I guess, the captain was proud that I was able to respond as fast as I did, regardless of, I wasn't wearing the proper uniform of the day, but he was just proud that I was able to wake up at the time of the night that I did, hurry up, get on the mount, and he wanted to reward me, or he wanted my chain of command to reward me. So I ended up getting a 24-hour special ed. And to most people, that ain't a big deal, but I was able to, be proud, and everyone kind of patted me on the back like, hey, good job, young buck. At that point, I only been at my command for maybe a week or so, and I was straight out there, sent out there. So to be able to do that, it's kind of a big deal, I guess, in their eyes, and it kind of set the tone for the rest of my career that, hey, just do the right thing, you'll be all right.
Yeah, you kind of earned your keep, and all those people that are out there, play CSGO or Call of Duty, all that, think like, oh yeah, I could totally get shot at, like, probably gonna piss yourself.
Yeah, this is real life, it's a different ballpark.
Yeah, it's definitely real different. But talking about video games, you're a gamer.
I do.
So at sea, at home, what are kind of some of the games that you play? What are you kind of into?
I'm a huge console gamer. So for the most part, I'm playing Call of Duty with some of my friends from all over the world. It's been a way for me to decompress. I play Apex, Madden, 2K. But now that I've had a son, I've had to dial it back. Obviously, being a dad is first. But I always find time, like maybe an hour here and there, to get on there, decompress, and that's always fun. It's always fun to be on there.
Yeah, well, and you admitted it a couple days ago in the office, so I'm gonna expose you right now. You're a League of Legends nerd too, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I get down on there a little bit.
Yeah. What got you into that?
So the honest truth, sir, I had a HT3 Obieta. He was one of my sailors in my section on the USS John C. Stennis, and I found out that he wasn't going out on Liberty because he didn't have a Liberty buddy, because all he wanted to do was go to a computer lounge. I found out that, you know, all he did was play this game called League of Legends, which, you know, I've never heard of. I'd say I'm a church league athlete, you know. I like to go out, play football, play basketball, but nothing more serious than that. But when I found out this guy didn't really have any friends, one day I wasn't really doing anything. I didn't want to go out, you know, do the typical, you know, thing where people go out, just get drunk and do crazy things. I was like, hey, I'll go out with you. So he took me to this computer lab, and we sat there for like an hour. And at first I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what I was looking at. And next thing you know, I kind of just practiced it, kept going there with him for the next 2 or 3 days. And then from there I kind of got hooked. It's kind of addicting. I've been playing it for like 6-7 years now, off and on, just playing it. I still play with him to this day every once in a while, so it's been fun.
Yeah, it's a strategy MMORPG. So I don't fault you. Everybody's got their own thing, you know. Like, you just gotta find your thing that you gotta vibe with out here, and it's what keeps you sane, right?
Yes, sir.
So you also talked about like earning your keep and like kind of becoming like the big dog from Little Dog. You're running a class called Surf Bravo right now. Security Reaction Force Basic. What are kind of like you're our primary training supervisor for anti-terrorism.
Yes,
so
sir.
what are kind of the things that are run over in Surf Bravo, and like what about OC spray? Like people always talk about that.
Yes, sir. So Surf Bravo is a 2-week course that is ran throughout the Navy, but here on a DDG. The first couple days is all about introducing sailors who've never had any experience to the anti-terrorism, warfare area. We go over non-lethal weapons. We go over subject communication, hand-to-hand combat, de-escalatory ways of handling a situation that could be very stressful. At the end of the week, the first week, we teach people how to be a proper sentry, how to hold a weapon, how to take someone down. It's with some of these moves called mocks, which are mechanical advantage control holds. So they learn how to defend themselves for the most part there, with or without a weapon. The second week is more so of the firearms, where we teach these personnel how to deal with, how to properly manipulate the weapon, whether it's shooting the M9, whether it's shooting the M4, M500, the different shooting positions, whether it's the prone, the kneeling, the standing, how to carry it, how to reload, how to aim. We also go through a couple PowerPoints where we show and we explain to sailors the importance of standing a proper watch, what their purpose is. A lot of people, when they're standing watch nowadays, don't resort back to what their true purpose is. And when we do even just a small training, show them a PowerPoint of, the USS Mahan, where MA2 Mayo passed away, or we show them, some of the other incidents like the shipyard incidents, or on Joint Base Barbara Hickman, we tell people what active shooters are. We show them how to handle those type of situations. We show them what an IED, which is improvised explosive device. We show them how to identify and mitigate and protect other people from going to those type of areas where their IEDs are placed. So it's been fun. We're in day 4 of this class. All my students are very motivated because a lot of them, they've never had this type of training. They come in the Navy, think they're going to be a cook, and they're just going to be cooking eggs, or OSs, they just think they're going to be sitting in combat, watching a radar spin around, and then for them to get, their hands on a weapon, or learning how to take someone down. You see these people get really excited about the warfare area, and for me as a trainer, it kind of fills you up with joy, because it's like you have the ability to impact a sailor's career just by setting the tone there. They're coming to your class, you explain to them, like I said, the reason why they're standing their watch, what happens if they don't stand a proper watch, how to protect themselves. A lot of these people probably never even been in a fight a day in their life or ever shot a weapon, so for them to get this experience, it kind of changes their mindset on the Navy. They think it's more than just, staying in duty, doing sweepers. They see a bigger picture in all this.
Yeah. So we're going to do a little quick rapid fire session to end this interview. So this is a segment I like to call People Are Asking. So questions I've heard around the ship, questions people might have asked you in your time on the ship. So we'll start easy and get a little harder as we go on. So first one is MA1. What was your OC spray experience like?
OC, I would say the day I got sprayed, I'd probably say it's the worst day of my life. The pain, a lot of people, if you don't mentally prepare yourself, of what you're getting ready to endure, then you go in there and it's going to put you on your butt. It's going to, hurt you a little bit. But with the training we were given at MAA school, you just realize that you're in a fight. You got to get through. So there's no giving up. There's no, I guess you could do it over again, but that'd be kind of silly to do it twice. You might as well just get through it. But I just had to get through it. I was probably done within 3 or 4 minutes, like the typical OC course, so that was that. And what was the other part of the question again, sir?
Next one is MA1. Why can BM1 Felton outbench you?
BM1 Felton probably came out the womb out bench pressing a lot of these NFL players. He's a big hefty man, but that's my workout partner, so I'm trying to catch up. I got to eat my vegetables and drink my milk and my juicy juice, and I'll catch up to him one day.
Maybe your bones will be strong enough. How much does he bench? How much do you bench?
He benches upwards of 400 or 500 pounds. I'm repping 315 4 or 5 times, so I'm getting there.
Yeah, well, maybe you'll be as big as him someday. Maybe you'll be as big as me at someday. It's okay, but like MA1. What smells worse, VCHT overflowing in your berthing, or you farting when you crop dust the weapons office?
Oh wow. I'd say VCHT, sir, because it lingers a lot longer.
Wrong. I'm looking directly at the mic. Wrong. I've had to walk out of the weapons office multiple times because of you.
I told you.
I'm exposing you.
I'm trying to catch up to B1 Felton, so it's just the protein, sir. I promise.
It's all the protein shakes?
It's all the protein, yes, sir.
With all the protein I've seen in the mail recently, I haven't seen nearly as much from you.
Man, yes, sir.
All right, last question to end the interview on this. People are asking MA1, why has it been over 20 years since the Dallas Cowboys have won a Super Bowl?
That's a great question, sir. I would lean towards someone's paying the refs. Someone's got to be paying the refs, because the Cowboys, I've never been the type of fan to say, we're going to the Super Bowl, but do I feel like the past 5 to 10 years that we should have gone to the Super Bowl? 1,000%. We've had some solid teams, but I would just say that we've been unlucky. We're going to get there, though.
Yeah. How about them boys, right?
How about them?
Every year you guys do really, really well, or you have like those really average years where you go like 8-8, and then like MA1 being from Hawaii is a Cowboys fan. Go figure on that one. But I'm a Commanders fan. I don't get it. I'm used to like mediocrity. You just are like, we're gonna make the playoffs. We're gonna make the Super Bowl. Erect.
Just have a little faith in my boys right there. We're gonna make it though.
No. Well, MA1, thank you for joining me for this interview.
Yes,
Awesome
sir.
interview. I've been waiting a while to get you on the show. So
Yes,
thanks
sir.
for coming on the BODAR Blast, and keep doing you.
It was a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thanks. And that was MA1 Moore for our interview. So thank you so much for coming on, MA1. I appreciate you answering some tough questions at the end there. I know that you'll give me some crap about it later on after the after the interview process is over. But I appreciate it, and congrats to him, by the way. Like we said during the interview, he's going to be in some more very soon, hopefully very, very soon, and I can't wait to attend your commissioning if I'm able to, and I'm very proud of you, MA1. So to everybody listening out there that has worked with MA1, you know the real deal, and he is the real deal. So proud to work with you. I'm proud to learn from you, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Closing out the show, I've been looking at our social media. I've seen a lot of responses to this. Please remember that you can continue to stream this on DVids, but you can also stream this on Spotify and Google Podcasts and download from there as well. So make sure that you go on there too if it's a little bit easier for you to get this podcast. In addition, if you have a sailor that you'd like to listen to on the podcast, or listen to an interview or a segment with them, or have a question for them for our question and answer segment, please reach out to our ombudsman, Miss Sleesman, and she can get in contact with me with any questions that you guys want to ask for the show. Didn't get any questions this time around, at least not recently. So please continue to send your questions into the show, and I'll be very happy to get somebody that can answer them, or I can answer them. But it is always a pleasure bringing this show to you from the USS Decatur. I'm Lieutenant Junior Grade Daniel Ehrlich. I'll see you guys next time, and we're halfway through this. So we'll be back very soon, and I hope to see you all there.